Here's a problem all of us would be happy to have. How do you get better when you're already the best? Commercially, Spider-Man 2 grossed $200 million in just 8 days, faster than any film before it. Creatively, the Spidey sequel set a new standard for superhero cinema. How are you supposed to improve on that? For the producers of Spider-Man 3, the answer was more. More villains, more love interests, more dancing. But as all of us know, yet often forget, more doesn't mean better, it just means more. And sometimes, more can even mean something else. Sometimes, more is too much. Welcome to Superhero Cinema Club, an in-depth exploration of the history of superhero films. I'm Mark Schiff, and joining me as always, it's the Venom to my Spider-Man. It's Mike Carnes.
Oh man, this is the worst one.
That is so insulting. I mean, it's the obvious one to go with here, but like,
it's really bad.
I do feel bad. Like, I don't mean that in any pejorative sense, Mike. Generally speaking, Venom is a beloved character, but if we're talking about Spider-Man 3 Venom, I can see it's like shots fired.
Oh, it's like wimpy Venom. It's just the wimpy, nerdy Venom in this one. Thanks.
Weenum.
I like Weenum. That's good.
We're about to get into all of that on today's episode. We will be discussing Spider-Man 3, as you probably guessed and realized as soon as you clicked the podcast it said Spider-Man 3.
It's in the title.
Yeah. Hopefully. You can stream this fine film, ? On Disney Plus, Netflix for now. You're going to want to just search for it because it's a weird one, as with all the Sony films, they're not all just in one place forever.
I'm just going to go ahead and assume that those listening right now are the ones who love Spider-Man 3. They've seen it the most. You guys are absolute diehard fans of Spider-Man 3. God bless you.
God bless him, Mike. I did actually stumble on a Reddit thread today that was like, it's been a while. I know this got hate when it came out, but I don't care. This is the best one yet.
Oh
the
my
story
God.
is so good. We will render our final verdicts, as always, at the end of the film, but I think you could probably gather from early reaction here. This is not Mike and I's favorite Spider-Man film.
What is it with people trying to reclaim these old bad movies from 20 years ago, like Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones? Like, those movies are bad then. They're still bad now. Stop trying to make them happen. They're not going to happen.
Couldn't agree more, but everybody's got their own opinions. No one has a correct opinion when it comes to art, as we all know.
That's right. Subjective.
But I do want to ask this, Mike, because we have opinions. One of the things that Spider-Man 3, occupying the space it does, they could have ended the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films with Spider-Man 2, which we discussed last episode. Near perfect film, truly a superhero classic. Or they could have made a Spider-Man 4, which potentially could have included Vulture, other characters. Would it have been better for this series to end with Spider-Man 2 or to take the risk and end it on Spider-Man 4?
I can see it from a couple different angles. Like, if I'm a movie producer and Spider-Man 2 makes $200 million in less than in a week, I think is what you said, I'm seeing dollar signs in my eyes. I want to roll it back for another one. Like, that's, I think, is like what any good movie producer will want to do. So doing it for a third one, getting this version of it sucks, but we'll get into it a lot more down the line here tonight. But this movie is not good and is not a satisfactory way to end the trilogy. So I would go back again, and this time I would strip it down, be like, let's get rid of all the things that didn't work in Spider-Man 3, and let's do Spider-Man 4, but we'll do maybe like a more standalone story, just him and Kraven the Hunter, and that's it. And then maybe like you do the whole story of like Kraven almost kills him, Kraven's last hunt kind of thing. Then Spider-Man triumphantly comes back, and that ends the 4-movie series, something like that. I think it's a way to redeem themselves after something as bad as Spider-Man 3. If it was up to me, and I don't know, it's not Kevin Feige, but whoever was in charge of Marvel at this time, I would have done it again. Yeah, why not? If Tobey Maguire he's really the only one that you need to have back, and if he's down to come back, then sure, let's do another one and just make it stripped down, simple, and better.
Yeah, they did have Toby and Kiki, Kirsten Dunst, and Sam Raimi all under contract for Spider Man 4. Those three would have come back for sure. The reason why it wasn't made is because it was taking Sam Raimi a little too long, in Sony's opinion, and they have to meet these deadlines because of legal rights to the character. This is why it was scrapped. I'm actually going to pivot the other way, Mike, and I'm going to say there's no possible way that Sony was like, oh, yeah, we wrapped up our 2 film story arc of Spider-Man perfectly. We're just going to call it a day there. Thanks for coming to the theaters, everybody. Like they were going to make Spider-Man 3, of course. With that being said, this is a hypothetical and this is in a perfect world. And I think given, as we discussed, the sort of inverted structure of the first 2 movies and how well they do complement each other, if it was just those two, I'd be a little frustrated by this somewhat ambiguous final shot of Mary Jane looking out the window in a very ambivalent manner as Spider-Man swings for the first of
Yeah,
what will be the rest of their life together to go fight crime.
second guessing her decision. Yeah.
But again, if you're making this, you know that you're not going to do another one. I don't think he would have gone with that particular shot as the final shot. It does, in a lot of ways, lay the groundwork for really where we are here now in this story. I just think those 2 movies are so great individually, and then between the 2 of them, it's like a Godfather 1 and 2 situation where it's like
Hmm.
real heads just kind of ignore the third one. I kind of feel that way about this as well. With that out of the way, let's actually jump into our first category here, the Tale of the Cape. Mike, Spider-Man 3 was released on May 4th, 2007. Me and all the homies had the calendar circled, and we weren't the only ones because this movie did phenomenal. In fact, it had the biggest Friday, Saturday, and Sunday opening ever of all time, grossed $151 million in the US on its opening weekend, $381 million worldwide in just the opening weekend, Mike.
Does it still hold the title?
It does not. I believe it's Endgame now.
Okay.
Sometimes movies open really big and then they fall off, and it doesn't necessarily put them in the biggest of, overall gross, but it was massive. The budget for Spider-Man 3 was also record breaking, Mike. It was the most expensive movie ever made at the time of its release. Budget estimated between 258 and 350 million dollars in 2007 bucks. That's almost 20 years ago, dog, and that is still an insane price tag for a movie. That's insane. If you spent 250 in 2026, you're like, this better be good. It's going to have some good action. You know what I mean? Like, much less 350. I don't know how, where these figures come from. And that is literally almost $100 million spread between the low end and the high end of the budget. But when the low end of the budget is almost $260 million, they put a lot of money into this. So
A lot of people don't realize that that also includes advertising as well. You can spend 100 to 150 just on TV spots, Super Bowl ads, that kind of thing. That's going to eat up a huge chunk of the budget. It's not just, special effects or production value. It's like not just advertising, but also how much the actors are getting paid. And for a third movie, that where the first 2 iterations have had massive success, those actors and their agents are negotiating for higher salaries too. So it's always going to be more expensive the more that you do these movies in a row like that. So that's why the inflation on these numbers are so much bigger this time around.
yeah, it was going to go up no matter what. When you have a successful franchise, that's an investment you're willing to make. They actually spent 30% more on the visual effects of this movie than they did Spider-Man 2. And yet, Mike, I think maybe you're with me on this. I think this movie has significantly worse visual effects than the first 2 Spider-Man movies.
I think it depends on what we're talking about. There are certain shots where I'm like, wow, for 2000, what is it, 2006?
2007.
2007, a lot of this is like, I'm actually kind of impressed at how it looks today. I've mentioned before, watching these old movies on my giant HD flat screen, I can really tell that a lot of stuff looks like really bad CG or really bad green screen or blue screen. And I felt like there was a lot of shots that still kind of held up in this one, like the Sandman reforming himself for the first time and taking his first steps. And then you see Thomas Hayden Church kind of walk out of that transition. I thought that was great. There was a lot of great stuff in this movie that still held up today, I thought.
Well, Oscar-winning visual effects supervisor John Dykstra did not return for this film, so they did have a different visual effects supervisor. It's funny that you should single out that scene, Mike, because this was the, quite frankly, unprecedented challenge that the visual effects team faced, which is when you make a visual effect, right, the normal process is to make a wire model and then you add the skin on top of it and then you move it around in the computer like a puppet.
Mm-hmm.
But if your character is literally made of sand and it's not a solid material at all times, they had to invent all kinds of new technology to make this work. And you can tell in that sequence in particular that they are really like leaning into like, it's a flex. Can you believe this visual effect? I mean, that's like a 3-minute wordless scene,
Yeah.
and it's all just one shot of starts with a little bit of sand and all of it just growing and changing. And that visual effects, they had to build entire new computer systems. I don't exactly know how this is measured, but they claimed it took 10 man years just for the Sandman effects alone.
Oh, wow.
It's wild. So even if John Dykstra didn't come back, there was a lot of returning crew, and that started at the top with director Sam Raimi. I did think it was interesting, Mike, that this screenplay is credited to Sam and Ivan Raimi, his brother, who actually is a physician. I thought that was kind of interesting. He's co-written Army of Darkness and a couple other films with Sam. This is his older brother. His primary job is a physician in Michigan, where they grew up.
Is he just like a GP?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what it said. He's like just like a regular physician in Michigan. And they also had Alvin Sargent, once again, who was brought in at the end of Spider-Man 2 to work on this script. And apparently the studio demands and different things created a script that was so overwhelming. He was like, we have to split this up into 2 movies. But he couldn't really figure out where the end of the climax for part 1 would be. They all kind of worked on it together. And I got to say, Mike, this script is rough, bro. I know that given the way that this came together with basically, from my understanding, Sam and Ivan are working on this script and the themes are around forgiveness, and it's focused entirely on only the Harry and Sandman characters. Well, Avi Arad, the Marvel producer, comes in and is like, what's up, Sam? Why are you up with all these Silver Age villains like Dr. Octopus and the Sandman? The kids these days love Venom. We need Venom in this movie. You got to put him in. Basically kind of shoehorned that character in there. And then meanwhile, the producer on the film, Laura Ziskin, was, hey, Sam, we got to have some Gwen Stacy in here. We haven't had Gwen Stacy yet. Let's get Gwen Stacy in there. Now, I actually don't feel that Gwen Stacy's character is particularly shoehorned in here. I actually think they do a good job
I do too.
of integrating her character into the script. But, I mean, Venom could not be more obviously shoehorned in this movie. It's rough, man. I mean, whatever you're even going to say about the character or anything, I looked exactly to make sure. He does not show up until an hour and 45 minutes into this movie, Mike. There's 35 minutes left of the movie when Venom is finally introduced.
Here's my studio notes version of this movie. Like if I was the, executive producer and someone pitched this to me, you want to introduce Eddie Brock as kind of an antagonist to Peter Parker. I think that's fine. You give him the black suit, you give him the symbiote. If you want to split the movie into 2 parts, you end it with him resolving his beef with Sandman, but at the same time, he is also fighting the symbiote in the church, and the suit strips off him and lands on Eddie Brock, and that's the end of the movie. That's your cliffhanger ending right there. Oh shit, the black suit got onto Eddie. Like that's going to be crazy. That's a great setup for the next movie, for part 4. And then you have the perfect segue into part 4 with him being the inherent villain, not only to Peter Parker, but to Spider-Man as well. So that becomes kind of the ultimate villain role. Like he's the antithesis of Spider-Man and the antithesis of Peter Parker. That could be like his greatest challenge for a final climactic 4th movie. But nope, we got to do it all in one. We're going to force everybody in. Great job, Ari. Fire that guy. He sucks.
Avi Arad is his name, so he's not going anywhere, Mike. That is the name that Marvel fans will be hearing for many seasons to come on this show. Now, it's interesting that you make that point, Mike, because one of the things that I came across, and I have not seen this, but in my research, there is an entire different edit of this film, and it was released as part of the 4K box set from, I believe, a Best Buy only exclusive.
Oh wow.
It's called the Spider-Man 3 Editor's Cut. And apparently, on the 10-year anniversary of its release, when there was a box set with all of the Spider-Man movies at the time being released, editor Bob Murawski put together Spider-Man 3, the editor's cut, sometimes known as Spider-Man 3.1. What's interesting about this, Mike, is that he didn't make it longer like most of these kind of cuts are. He actually took 2 minutes off, but he cut out some things and he added some scenes that had been left off
Hmm.
and rearranged other parts of it. And apparently it's supposed to be much, much better than this. And part of the cuts that I was reading was there's a lot more stuff with the symbiote and like kind of making it like an addictive thing when he's home and he's stressing to not put on the suit. There's a shot of the suit calling to him and being like, Peter, come.
Dude,
Like,
there wasn't enough of that in this movie. Yeah.
exactly. There's another scene that I watched you can find on YouTube where Flint Marko goes to the park after the whole mud situation, and his wife and daughter are there, and the wife is, or ex-wife is like, your dad's a bad man, some people are bad men, you just have to accept it. And she looks in the playground and there's a big sandcastle, and she goes over to the sandcastle and sees like a handprint kind of coming out and like kind of touches it, like sort of implying that she kind of knows it might be him.
Okay.
And it adds more of that. And I would love to see it. I don't think it's going to change this from, whatever it is now to like, oh, it's a masterpiece now or anything. But at the same time, I do think that there were a lot of really small, bad, unfortunate choices in this movie that are really baffling to me, Mike.
It sounds a little bit like what you're describing is what we alluded to earlier with the Coppola restoration director's cut of Godfather 3, where they took some scenes out, put some scenes back in, re-edited, moved some, shuffled some stuff around. And it does become better. It's still not great. It's not like Godfather 1 or 2. It's like it goes from being like okay to okay plus basically. This is kind of what I'm getting from what you're describing to me right now. Like we go from a bad movie to like bad but slightly better, bad plus.
That may be the case, but the other area where I feel like this film really suffers compared to the first two specifically is the music. So, as we discussed in our last episode, during the Dr. Octopus theme, apparently, Danny Elfman was not happy with all of the notes that Sam Raimi was giving him, and he specifically was citing Christopher Young's score for Hellraiser 2
Mm-hmm.
as a good inspiration point. Danny Elfman didn't like that. They had a big falling out, and they wouldn't work together again for years. They did eventually reconcile, but there was some beef. So, of course, Sam Raimi's going to go directly to the source and just hire Christopher Young for this movie. And the music is, I would even go so far as to say it's actually bad. Like, it's not just a step down. It's the same way that Batman Forever just has this really bombastic circus like score that's just really over the top. I wouldn't say this is over the top in the same way, but for instance, the scene where Harry and Peter are fighting in Harry's apartment, like the music is like this kind of jazz
Oh, that
drum
was
thing.
terrible. Yeah.
And I was like, what's going on? Why is this score like this? Just right from the very first scene, it just does not feel Danny Elfman-esque. It's really bad. I really did not like this score.
Yeah, that scene in particular is definitely the low point of the musical score. That and like when he's dancing, doing jazz, piano, all that nonsense. But we'll get to that. But yeah, no, it's not as good. It's no Danny Elfman.
It's tough when you're changing mid franchise. If you're going to do it, you got to have that like musical through line. Otherwise, it really does feel like kind of a different tone and a different style from the other movies. Now, they did bring back Bill Pope as cinematographer and Bob Murawski as editor. So I do think overall it's not like a totally jarring, this doesn't feel like the other two at all. But that's the thing about Spider-Man 3, Mike, is it's like Spider-Man that you know and love, but worse.
Yeah.
And with that, let's meet our new characters.
Hey.
Since Peter is back as Tobey Maguire, obviously, Mary Jane Watson
Kiki.
Kirsten Dunst, and of course Harry Osborn, James Franco. We get Flint Marko, the Sandman, in this one. Now, I, as a Spider-Man fan growing up, I was never like, oh, Sandman's my guy. I love that dude. But at the same time, I do think that he is an iconic Spider-Man villain. Like, he's certainly in the high up in the rogues gallery.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll give them a lot of credit for what they were trying to do with this character. And I think Thomas Hayden Church is by far the best villain in this movie. He does a really good job with what he has in this. But the issue for me, Mike, is it's just not enough. You try to introduce, when you meet the character for the first time, he's doing it for his daughter who's sick. He's got these motivations that are beyond that. Mike, the big revelation that Flint Marko was actually the guy that pulled the trigger on Uncle Ben is terrible. What a horrible choice. I hated that. It's already over. 2 movies ago it was over. It's fine. Let's move on. We got to go back and revisit the origin story and discover that this guy was actually the dude. It doesn't make his character more sympathetic. It doesn't make it more interesting. Like, oh, I always suspected there was more to Uncle Ben's murder. No, there was none of that. It was just, oh, actually, the thing that happened 2 movies ago didn't happen the way that you saw it. It was another thing. Lazy, lazy, lazy. I hate that.
Mark, I got to call you out because what you're describing is retconning, and you were just saying in an X-Men episode recently how retconning works for you every single time.
This is a big difference, Mike. It's cool when in future installments, right, the characters from the future go back and revisit the past.
Okay.
Those events have already transpired. I'm talking about, oh, wait, the thing that happened, it didn't actually happen that way.
I got you.
It happened this other way. It is retconning. You're right. You're good to call me out on that because I did. That is something I said. And I literally said it works for me every single time. So you're totally right. However, this is a different flavor of retconning. It's the, what happened didn't actually happen.
It is different when we're time traveling and we're...
Go back and revisit the past. Totally. It's going to be great for me. I'm into it, but hated that part.
A lot of it comes from, when we're doing the third movie and we're going to introduce this guy and like he's a sympathetic character. We try and make him likable to a degree. It's like, oh, he made some mistakes, but he's got a daughter and he's trying to do right, and he's also just trying to escape, the law and get back to, where he needs to be. But we also need him to hate Spider-Man for some reason and Spider-Man to hate him. So how do we do that? Well, we got to make it personal. So how do we do that? Well, there's only one thing in Spider-Man's life that's like tragic and personal to him. So we just got to shoehorn him into that, basically. So I get why they did it.
Great point.
It's like, yeah, the execution on it wasn't awesome.
That's a great point. You do need those kinds of motivations for sure. It's just so forced, like everything else.
Very forced.
Speaking of forced.
Topher Grace?
Edward Brock Jr., as he calls himself. Not Eddie Brock. Not this jacked up, flat top wearing, muscle bound photographer. Edward Brock Jr., as played by Topher Grace.
Frosted tip Topher Grace.
The frosted tips are incredibly dated. His slang and his attitude is incredibly dated.
He's wearing a black leather jacket and he has a toothpick sticking out of his mouth at all times. It's the double whammy of like, it's actually triple whammy. Frosted tips, toothpick, black leather jacket. It's like the ultimate douchebag trifecta.
As much as I am prone to hyperbole based on just
Captain
literally 2 minutes ago in this podcast, I genuinely think it's safe to say that like this is one of the worst villains in superhero cinema history. It has to be.
Greater or less than Nuclear Man.
The fact I even have to pause to think about it is...
Nuclear Man is our benchmark.
So here's the thing. They're both horrible, bottom of the barrel, but they're bottom of the barrel in different ways. I'll get into this more later, but it's really rough, and I don't want to take shots at Topher. I actually really like him. I always like the 70s show. He's funny on Ocean's 11 in his cameo. Like, I have nothing against Topher Grace. It's just such a bad idea what they tried to do with this character and in this casting and all of it. Conceptually, I understand. He's the inverse of Peter Parker. He's kind of another nerdier, not super suave, not muscle bound, regular
Yeah.
dude, wants to get a job, dating the same people, same age. I understand they're trying to make a mirror image of it.
Yeah, he's the antithesis of him. Yeah, like I said. But do you know he left that 70s show just so he could do this movie?
Wow.
He was like in the like 6 or 7 seasons deep, and then he leaves that show. They write his character out to go to college or whatever, so that he can come do this movie. I'm sure he was super pumped to get this role. Be like, holy shit, I'm going to be in Spider-Man 3. That's amazing. And he's going to collect that paycheck for sure. Like, I would do the same thing if I was him. But he's the wrong casting for Eddie Brock, man. Like you said, he's nerdy. If he's supposed to be the antithesis of Peter Parker, he should be the antithesis. And that's include like we don't want the same archetype getting a symbiote. We want big jock Eddie Brock coming in. Hell, bring in Joe Manganiello as Flash Thompson again and give him the Venom suit. That would have been way better, I think.
Exactly. And he actually does get the Venom suit in the comics. So
Oh, it's
Flash
Eddie.
Flash Thompson. Yeah.
Does
So
he?
yeah, apparently. And I haven't read those, but yeah, I guess he does. And that would have made sense. You got to go that route. Part of what was so appealing to me as a kid, right? Because I'm of that age, I really did want to see Venom. Venom was my guy. I was a kid when character was introduced by the great Todd McFarlane. It's like, what would happen if you had Spider-Man powers, except the person that got them was super ripped and a total asshole bully?
Yeah, totally.
That's the whole idea behind Venom. And instead, it's like I said, some metaphor about the inverse image of it could have gone sideways for Spider-Man, I guess. It just doesn't work at all.
I just want to shout out that Mark has interviewed Todd McFarlane.
I have.
I just want you to spend 90 seconds to talk about your interview with him and just share any insights that he may have given you into the Venom character.
Yeah, I spoke with him before the sci-fi documentary about his life came out. I want to say in 2020, it was during the pandemic at some point. Check it out on the Sling social media accounts. You should still be able to find our interview. But yeah, he really kind of just talked a lot more about the creativity behind it, right? And the art behind it, and how he'd always wanted to draw Spider-Man since he was a little kid. But this gave him the chance to kind of go in a different direction and put his own stamp on the style in the same way that his heroes, who are artists, put their own stamp on the character. So I thought that was really interesting. We didn't really talk all that much about Venom as a character. I think there's a little bit contentious in terms of some of the creation stuff and the rights with Marvel, and so it's a little bit sensitive for of a topic. But Todd McFarlane is instrumental in the creation of this character, and if you're listening to this podcast, I know you know Todd McFarlane, an
Yeah.
absolute legend in comic books, and I always have respected people that are both writer illustrators, and McFarlane is really close to the top of the list. I mean, who am I thinking of? Dark Knight Returns, Frank Miller. That's what I'm thinking of.
Frank Miller, Will Robson, friend of the show.
Absolutely. Writer illustrators, you're just like playing guitar and the front man of the band. There's just something you really have to give that credit for. So yeah, it was an awesome honor to speak with him, and you can check out that interview on the Sling TV social media channel. Our last new character, Mike, Gwen Stacy, as played by Bryce Dallas Howard. This is like maybe her first big role. I feel like I hadn't really seen her before this. It's around this time, I would say.
There might have been something right before this, I think. But yeah, this is definitely the earliest that I can remember seeing her. She looks amazing in this role, by the way.
Dog. It is so ironic that like I think she is one of the iconic Hollywood redheads, and yet they cast her in Spider-Man 3 as the
And
blonde,
vice versa. And Kirsten Dunst is a blonde who's playing
Yeah,
the redhead.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. They could have maybe casting switched for these. And honestly, if they'd done that, I'd have been fine with it. She's really good in this part. I thought
For sure.
she kind of has the nice mix of like, I can see why she's genuinely has a crush on Spider-Man / Peter Parker after being rescued, but also like she's not, let's say, Black Cat type character where like I'm actively trying to steal you from Mary Jane. Like, why aren't you with me? I'm the bad girl. Like she does a really good job of kind of playing both sides. She gets mad at him at the end when it's like, what are you doing? Like, I'm sorry. She apologized to MJ. Like she does a very good job at selling this. And so I think she's out of actually any of the new characters in the film, I would say Gwen Stacy's the best. All right, well, let's get into our main categories now. And as always, we're going to start off with the best action scene. Mike, you got some options on this one. Fight and Flight is our first one.
I will say, surprisingly little action in this movie. There's a long stretch where nothing happens.
The pacing in this movie is terrible. It is absolutely terrible. Like you said, long stretches between action and just so much blah, blah, blah. One thing that struck me is that, except for the Sandman becoming the Sandman, after Harry gets amnesia, which we're about to get
Yeah,
into, nothing has happened
yeah,
since
nothing
the end of
else.
Spider Man 2. Literally, nothing has changed since the end of Spider-Man 2, and we're like 35, 40 minutes into this movie. It's like, you're spinning your wheels here. Like, let's go. 15 minutes in is our first action scene. Fight and Flight, Goblin versus Peter, round one. This is where I was struggling with the visual effects, Mike. I thought this just looked so green screeny and bad. And I do understand it's kind of novel to have Peter Parker fighting in an action scene, not in the Spider-Man suit, but just regular clothes.
Right.
That's kind of cool. I'm also going to, at this point, I don't know if this is a hot take. I do actually like the snowboard glider that he uses. Like, it
Oh, do
literally just looks like
you?
a snowboard or a skate deck. I think it looks cool. I'm of the generation of like X Games starting out and action sports. I love all that shit. So I was like, this is kind of a cool glider. It makes absolutely no sense in terms of the physics of it. Like, you can at least see how like the other glider is like shaped like a plane.
Yeah, it's this big wing.
It's a hoverboard.
It's
Yeah.
totally a
Yeah, it's
hoverboard.
a
Yeah,
hoverboard here.
I had a lot of fun with this scene.
Okay. Talk to me about it. Tell me
I had
about
a
it.
lot of fun with this scene. They did a good job, and again, of the time, almost 20 years ago now, the digital puppetry. This came out 4 years after Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings kind of pioneered that digital puppetry of scanning an entire actor and then putting their digital version of themselves into a large frame environment. And so that changed the game. Other movies are doing this going forward since 2003. And so 4 years afterwards now, we're getting more and more detailed versions of these digital puppets where they're scanning Toby Maguire and they're scanning James Franco in a 3D like scanner, that completely does their whole face and body now. Honestly, I felt like it's like this is the first time in the movies that we've been going through these movies kind of sequentially from Superman on forward, and this is the first time I was like, oh, they're starting to figure it out. This is starting to look really good, and this is like a precursor to Avengers and to Endgame and stuff, where we can have these digital puppets start doing amazing things, and it's starting to look pretty dang good. And I think this is the first one where it's like, this looks pretty good. Like the digital Peter Parker, the shot of him where he webs the top of the building and he's just kind of gliding through the air as he's shooting multiple web shots into Harry over and over again. I thought that looked great. I don't know. I was really enjoying that scene. And then there's the whole sequence where they're going through the narrow alleyways between buildings. Like there was a lot of like, okay, that's green screen, but again, they're starting to figure things out. So I don't know. I kind of, in retrospect, 20 years later, I really appreciated the craftsmanship here. I didn't think this was a bad scene at all. I really had fun with this scene.
I'm happy for you, bro. Really am. It's cool. Next scene. The crane rescue. This is our introduction to Gwen Stacy doing a modeling gig, and all of a sudden, cranes are falling over in the middle of Midtown Manhattan. Things are getting real freaky here. This is the one for me. This is it. This
Okay.
is to me the premier action scene. I love the way that they're doing the photo shoot, and the guy's like, "Get that thing out of my background," and then
It is
just
very much what he would say. Yeah.
keeps coming over, and it's one of those things. It's like, if you've ever seen a wave that crashes to the beach, the rogue wave, right? People are just like, it's going to go back, and then it just doesn't go back. And that reaction here too, they're just, oh, it's going to swing back, and it doesn't swing back around. They all have to duck at the last second. The crane itself tears a hole through the building in multiple ways, is just shredding the building. Spider-Man's diving between the wreckage to get down there quicker. And I really like how it appears to me, at least, the very final shot is a literal stuntman with a woman in his arms swinging into the scene and putting her down on the ground. I was like, this is the goods right here. This is the one for me.
That's a very well crafted action scene. Did you know that Bryce Dallas Howard did some of her own stunts in this scene, unaware that she was pregnant at this point in time?
Oh wow, that's hilarious. Oh my gosh.
So she's like, "Yeah, I'll do whatever you want me to do. Throw me in a harness, throw me off a building, whatever." And she found out like 2 weeks later, like, "Oh, I shouldn't have been doing all that shit because I'm pregnant."
The stunt crew deserves special awards for that fact that she made it safely to term.
For sure.
Next big action scene, enter Sandman. This is the
Very
Sandman
good. Very good.
robbing the what is it, the Brinks truck, I guess, and Spider-Man stops him after the Spider-Man Day Parade. Yeah, it's cool. This is cool. Actually, this is another interesting fact. Sand is super heavy. If you're trying to use sand on a set, like pour it on someone and it will like physically hurt them because it's
Absolutely.
rocks, you know?
Yeah.
So they actually ground up heads of corn to make the sand effect on the set because it's much, much lighter.
Oh, interesting.
And the stunt double had 1,400 pounds of corn dust dumped on him in that truck
Oh my
to
God.
try to, at the time to when they shot him fighting the Sandman inside the truck. So yeah, they used ground up corn cobs for the effects on this. And yeah, it's a good fight. I love how it's like he punches through his chest and he's like, I'm the sheriff in town, if you haven't heard, just cocky Spider-Man as he is in this movie. This is a good scene too. I enjoyed it.
His ego's going to his head in this movie, even before the Venom suit hits him. Yeah, this is pretty good. I think this is I'm going to jump ahead a little bit to Death and Destruction. I'm pretty sure this is our first death count because Sandman picks up one of the cops and throws him into a cop car, and he like completely breaks the windshield and like dents the front of the cop car. If he's not at least paralyzed, he's for sure dead in that moment.
Wow. Okay. I didn't clock it, but I think you're right because it's pretty horrifying. The woman screams in the car because it cuts to her inside of the car while he crashes onto the hood. So
Yeah.
I think you're right. The next big action scene, we get yet another Sandman scene. This is the subway fight when Spider-Man's rocking the new black costume, getting his revenge. This is another one. I guess I'm talking myself into liking these action scenes a little more than I had because I really enjoyed this one too. When he's sticking his face against the train as it's oncoming and just using it like a cheese grater.
Yeah.
Again, just really good stuff, like, what is that to you? And he's like, everything. Going for the vengeance fight I thought it was a good fight scene.
It's a lot of ideas that like should work, but like, okay, you're sticking his head against the train. Does that really do anything? Does that hurt him? I understand why it works as visually, but like you start thinking about it logistically, it's like, oh, whatever. He's got more sand. He can just reform to himself. It's not going to actually be beneficial to the fight.
From a fighting tactic standpoint, you're totally right. But that's inherent problem to the character, which may or may not come up later on. I've got questions. We're going to talk next about the mansion throwdown. We already did a little bit.
Oh, God.
This one's rough, man. It's, again, kind of cool to see Peter Parker just straight up street brawl. They're just punching each other, throwing haymakers, throwing each other into the lab, this stuff. But it just kind of doesn't work. The score is weird. And there's no real, like, this should really be the two movies before this are building to this moment of, like, this movie, really. Harry is finally going to get his revenge on Spider-Man. Like, this is
Right.
should be, like, all out emotional, like, not, especially this scene. The first one takes you by surprise, and you said the visual effects are great. Like, that's a big part of that first scene. This one is just former best friends fighting each other in a fist fight. Like, it should be really emotionally weighty, and it's just kind of like, okay, like they're just gonna brawl like this, I guess.
They brawl and then it doesn't lead anywhere. Like nothing it basically the end of the fight happens and they just cut into the next scene. It's like a hard cut, so you don't get any repercussion. I mean, I guess the repercussion is that Harry gets his face kind of half melted. Nothing happens emotionally, nothing happens that carries any weight to the story other than Harry is physically changed going forward. And even then, the next time we see him, he's already kind of like healed basically. It's like it's been a year and a half and he's already gone through you know, skin graft and
Yeah.
therapy and so it's, he's already
Yeah.
healed up beyond that point. Like he looks a little bit Elephant Man-ish a little bit, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like you said, this should have been way more emotional weight to it. And instead they kind of turned it into a joke because of Peter becoming like this is during the height of where he's becoming a dick in the rest of the movie.
Hmm.
And they focus more on that than the emotion of two characters who have this history of what's happening between them.
Look at little Goblin Jr. You gonna cry?
Exactly. Gonna cry. I was
Okay.
gonna say it.
Okay. I totally agree. Our final action scene, construction site carnage. I don't know, man. One thing I did notice a lot in the action choreography in this, in the filmmaking, there's a ton of long, unbroken shots of people falling.
Yeah.
Like pretty much all the big action scenes have one long shot of one or both characters like falling. This one has a real long one. I appreciate that. I do like the editing rhythms where it's not super fast cuts and you're just like, what's going on? That, you know, it's really is clean in terms of we're holding the camera on this. But again, it just does kind of end up real mushy. When Sandman is in full giant monster mode, I don't really find that a cool looking character. He just looks like a brown mud monster and stuff. Like it's really not that interesting visually. We'll talk about it, but Venom just looks terrible. Like he just looks bad from the character design standpoint. And Mary Jane's, I do kind of like her. You know, she keeps falling a little. Definite Jurassic Park tree scene vibes with that, where the car falls towards her.
I was thinking King Kong where she keeps falling down the vines as the T-Rex is trying to grab her. That was the vibe I got, which came out 2 years prior to that.
There you go. There's another one. But yeah, so there's like some parts that are okay, but I don't know, just really not for me. For me, the best action scene is the crane. You're gonna go with the first fight scene, or
I am going with the first fight scene. I just want to call out specifically in the last action scene, though, with Kirsten Dunst and Kiki falling down. I'm going to keep calling her Kiki because you put that on my brain now.
that's what she called, man.
Every single one of her screams in this movie is recycled from one of the first two movies. Like, she did not actually do a new scream for Spider-Man 3.
That is hilarious, and it doesn't surprise me. And to me, this is another part of like same but worse. We're really gonna go back to this again for the third movie in a row. The climax is the villain kidnapping MJ and putting her on a place where she shouldn't be.
I know.
Really, we're doing that again.
I will say though, I did like the whole final confrontation between Spider-Man and Venom where he starts sticking the rods into the ground and starts hitting them to create the sonic resonance to defeat Venom. I was like, well, that's actually pretty cool. That's a good way to confront this villain, and like he understands that it's, you know, this frequency of loud, you know, echoing noise that's gonna hurt him. It's just like, again, it's within the context of the scene. It's like, well, the rest of this sucks, but that conceptually, I think, does a really good job.
I've never seen a construction scene fight that I haven't loved, right? If you have a
Oh yeah,
fight going down at a construction scene, I'm all about it. This is another superhero trope, right? We get one in Shang-Chi, Die Hard. Like it's been in so many movies, Lethal Weapon. Like you just have so many. It's such a cool thing because you got all this different stuff lying around for people to use. So the setting itself is cool. And I agree on that point, but like, it's just, it's the same but worse. Like the rest of this movie, in my opinion.
I agree. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the first scene of the attack with Harry. I think you actually pointed something out similar in a previous episode with Superman, but scenes where there's an action scene happening, but the main character is also trying to either save someone at the same time or trying to save an object at the same time. And Peter is fighting Harry, but he's also actively trying to recover his engagement ring for Mary Jane because it keeps falling and it keeps slipping out of his hands. And so it's an added layer to the scene that I thought works really well. That's the ring that he needs. That's also Aunt May's ring. Like that's a family heirloom. all these things kind of compound onto itself. Like I said, the digital puppetry I thought was really great and is kind of a stepping stone towards what we see going forward with Marvel movies and the MCU. So this, I think, is really good. Like we talked about before, if you want to watch this movie on mute, it'd probably do you a lot better. This is definitely a movie to watch on mute.
That is a perfect segue into our next category, best non-action
It's not
scene.
actually. Here we go.
Here's a few that I genuinely do like. Spider-Man Day Rally. I talked about that before. It's colorful and bright. It feels playful like the first two movies. It's the only scene in the entire movie where I feel like they kind of recaptured whatever that quintessential magic was in the first two. And it has probably my favorite joke in this movie, which is he comes into the scene, does some great Spider-Man acrobatics, lowers himself upside down, and is going in for the iconic kiss her, kiss her. The crowd is cheering. Everybody wants him to do it. And it cuts to a little kid going, no, Spider-Man, no. That joke slayed me, bro.
Oh wow,
The little
okay.
kid doesn't want her to kiss because girls have cooties. I thought that shit was so funny. Loved it. Good scene. I enjoyed that scene. Next one, botched engagement. I mean, I don't think this scene entirely works, but it kept me interested. I did like how Gwen Stacy comes up and just puts her hand on his shoulder the whole time and is like, I've heard so much about you. Give me that picture. Who could imagine kissing Spider-Man? You know, like that whole thing. I enjoy this scene. The comedy with Bruce Campbell, I think it's definitely his worst cameo of the three. Kind of works for me.
Oh
Kind of a mixed bag.
man,
It looks like you like it.
I thought this was his best cameo of the three.
Wow.
I thought his French accent was terrible, of course, but this one gives him the most to do, and he is hamming it up so much that he's like, "Well, of course I speak French." It's like, do you though? Like we all know you don't actually speak French. It was just like he's enjoying it so much being the French maitre d, and they keep cutting back to him over and over, and like I don't know. I thought that the comedy with Bruce Campbell was absolutely hilarious in this scene, but it's not my vote for best non action scene. So let's keep going.
Well, it's got to be obviously MJ does the twist with Harry, right? I got to tell you, Mike,
Boo.
as a young person in 2007, we were doing the twist everywhere. We were all just going around doing the twist. Such a common thing. Come over and let's have a little twist.
Also, Harry's a really good painter, by the way. The scene opens with him painting a still life of like flowers and apples and shit. And it's like, that was actually a really good painting, I thought.
You're totally right. Yeah, it really is. What do we think about J. Jonah Jameson's blood pressure scene? Thought like, again, it's trying to be funny, but it's a little too over the top. His character, it barely in this movie. Huge downgrade from Spider-Man 2, where he, in my opinion, was our good guy award.
Yes.
Just tough. Tough one for JJ.
It's much more cartoony in this one, whereas before he's very witty with everything that he says, where it's like, hey, Jonah, your wife called to tell you that she lost your checkbook. And he's like, thanks for the good news. Like, there's so many quick little, quick
Exactly.
wit lines. Yeah. So there's nothing like that in this one. It's like, oh, he's got to not be angry in this one. It doesn't work as much.
Exactly. Really, really like the Stan Lee cameo in this movie. If you remember in Spider-Man 1 and 2, both of those movies are during an action scene. Stan Lee shows up for just a half second and pushes someone out of the way, saving them. And you know what he says in this movie? I guess one person really can make a difference. Enough said. Awesome. It actually reflects back on his own character's arc of the first two movies, as well as obviously nodding towards Spider-Man and his legacy as the co-creator of Spider-Man. The classic Stan Lee "Nuff said." I loved it. Love this cameo. Like genuinely maybe a top 5 Stan Lee cameo across all of Marvel movies for me.
Does he say enough said a lot? Is that something that he often says?
In his like Marvel notes, like there always was like a letter from Stan Lee, or not always, but like oftentimes there's like a Stan, and he'd sign off with Excelsior. I know that, but I think he would
Yeah.
oftentimes, when he would editorialize, he'd just go off and then he'd say "Nuff said." And yeah, does it here. Just awesome. Loved it. And now, Mike, we got to talk about, I would say, one of the most controversial scenes in the history of superhero cinema. Peter Parker goes emo.
Here we go.
You know, I'm going to be honest here. I saw this film in theaters as I did all the Spider Man movies. I laughed. I laughed really hard through this whole scene. I was actually, I remember I even saying like that was maybe the funniest scene in Spider Man, period. Like, I found it incredibly funny in the theater experience. The thing is, it was funny because it was shocking and out of character, and he's so corny and it's so over the top that it was like a little bit of the like cringe laugh. And the first time you see it, and if you hasn't been spoiled by a million memes on the internet, right, it was really funny and unexpected, and similar to the raindrops falling on my head montage in the previous film. I was like, oh, they outdid themselves with this one. But it's weird. It's a very, very incredibly weird scene. It's
It's
like one
very
of the
weird.
strangest extended montages in superhero cinema history. It's like a little of it would have been funny.
It's like 25 minutes.
Yes, that's the thing.
They double down on it.
That's precisely where I was going, because I'm talking about the James Brown montage, right? With the funk music, and they had issued the retraction and he's given the finger guns. This was hilarious. The scene where he goes to the jazz bar and is just trying to make MJ jealous, and there's like in a whole elaborate dance. What are we doing? What are we doing with this scene? It's excruciating, man. I have no idea.
Here's the thing. I thought a lot about this, and there's one word that I've come up with for this whole sequence, and that is that it is embarrassing. They think what they're doing is like cool, maybe funny, kind of, but it's not. It's embarrassing because Toby Maguire cannot play the character that they want him to play confidently. They want him to be the cool jazz piano playing, swing dancing, handsome guy, but they give him this terrible emo haircut, and he's also like 5'6". He's this tiny little guy, and he's got this nerdy voice, and so all the things that he's trying to do, he's not sexy, he's not cool, he's not confident. It does not work with him in this role at all. And for them to double down and be like, no, it actually is really cool. It's like, no, bro, it's not. This does not work with him in this role at all. It would work with someone like Robert Downey Jr., maybe, for him to be the cocky, arrogant prick guy, but not with Tobey Maguire. It does not work. He doesn't fit in the role that they're trying to give him, and that's why it doesn't work.
You just nailed it, and I'd never fully considered that. I think you have it exactly right. It's that Tobey Maguire himself is self-conscious while playing this. It makes everyone else feel self-conscious watching it. And so it's not the confident guy. It's a dude acting like he's the confident guy, but he's not the confident guy. And you can see that in his performance. It is exactly it, Mike. You just nailed it. So tough stuff. Tough stuff. Mike, what is your best non-action scene?
So I'm going with a different one. I'm going to go with the very end of the movie where Sandman and Spider-Man are actually finally having a heart to heart and discussing what the movie has been trying to get to the whole time. And he gives his account of what happened with Uncle Ben, and we see the real version of the flashback. They showed like a fake version of the flashback before, where Spider-Man envisioned him like aggressively shooting Uncle Ben and taking the car. And he's like, no, it was an accident. I was like talking to him and he was trying to help me. And then my partner ran up on me and it startled me and it made me fire the gun. So seeing that reveal of the flashback really worked for me. And then him being like, I realized he was trying to help me, and Spider-Man being like, you know what? I don't want to hold on to this anger anymore. So I forgive you. I thought that both actors in this moment were doing a really great job despite the rest of the movie. The rest of the movie is pretty terrible around this, but this one scene with these two actors interacting with each other, I thought they did a great job with each other. And I felt like this is the only moment in the entire film that you can feel the emotional impact of the scene. And so that is my choice for best non-action scene.
Yeah, that's a great call. I like it. Very well acted. Poignant ending to that story arc for sure. Now it's time for our Peter Parker Problems Index.
Hey, Michelangelo, don't forget we're painting the kitchen right after school. Got it?
I missed the part where that's my problem.
So it's funny, we've done this for the first couple episodes, and obviously the score in Spider-Man 2 was crazy. This is not the case in this movie, Mike. So it's actually the inverse. It's the Mary Jane Watson misery metric,
Yeah.
I would say, in this movie. I mean, on the one hand, like, it's not like Spider-Man doesn't have some problems in this movie, but they're all problems of his own making. And so it's hard to feel bad for him the way everything else is conspiring against him in Spider-Man 2. The whole universe is conspiring against him, like, randomly even. Here, he's just bringing it all on himself, and I don't find him sympathetic really at all in this movie, honestly. He's not supposed to be sympathetic in this one, but yeah, it's Mary Jane who I feel bad for. All right, MJ. I mean, talk about rough, bro.
That's rough.
She goes, and very first scene of the movie, she's singing her song, her big opening number at the Broadway show. I think that was her singing. I didn't actually confirm it, but it does sound like her actual singing voice.
It does, yeah.
And honestly, like, I'm not an expert on Broadway or singing, but I thought she was fine. I didn't think she was mind-blowing, but I wouldn't have given her a bad review. I didn't think that was the case, so...
I wouldn't put her as the star as a Broadway show. I'll say that.
Fair enough. Critics are pretty harsh on her. Literally doesn't even get the message that she's been fired, shows up for work, and there's another girl on stage doing her part. Total humiliation. Then she literally is involved with Peter. He's completely tone deaf. He's like, you'll be fine. Spider-Man, this and that. Always making it about himself. Anytime, especially at the engagement. He's supposed to be engaged, and he's like, oh yeah, well, this happened and that happened. Spider-Man's been there. Spider-Man. Like, dude, this is not what you do as a boyfriend. You just say, talk about it if you want to talk about it. We won't talk about it if you don't. Totally up to you, honey. I understand. He's just the worst boyfriend here. And he actually even gaslights her, right? Like, he's publicly humiliating her with the kiss. Now, it's not like the public knows that she's dating Spider-Man, but he knows that she is at that rally, and he's still not like, oh, she came at me. He's like, lay it on me.
Yeah.
He's telling her to kiss him while his girlfriend is in the crowd.
Exactly.
What are you doing, Peter? What are you doing?
There is no world where that person thinks it's a good idea to kiss Gwen in front of Mary Jane. He knows that Mary Jane's in the crowd. That's like the worst boyfriend move of all time. Horrible. When he did that, I was like, what are you doing?
Horrible.
Why are you doing this?
So I cannot blame her for wanting to do a little twist, as was the trend in 2007 with her friend Harry. And, oops, they had a history together. They have a smooch. Not great. She immediately feels bad and runs off.
So does he.
Literally the next scene. He's showing up in her apartment, slamming her against the wall, being like, you got to break up with him or I will kill him.
Well, at that point, he's regained his memory.
Right. But I'm saying, like, you just went from I had a fun twist with my friend Harry to now he's throwing me against the wall and just immediately. And then it's like, you got to break up with Peter too. I feel horrible for her. And then that wasn't even rock bottom. Everyone's broken up. Peter's rubbing it in her face, showing up with other girls at her job.
Right.
Now I'm going to get kidnapped again and stuck up on a high place again. I am going to say Mary Jane suffers more in this movie than Peter does in the first two. Her misery index is like perfect 10s across the board. I feel so bad for everything.
I was going to say, do we have a metric for the misery index here?
It's a little different, but you've got professional humiliation, career collapse, 10 out of 10 by far. Emotional neglect and gaslighting from her boyfriend, 10 out of 10. Literal blackmail and coercive psychological torture, 10 out of 10.
She combines all of it at the end of the movie where she's singing, "I'm through with love."
Exactly. I don't blame her.
I don't blame you.
And then she gets stuck in a high place yet again in a situation. And in this one, she has to really fight for herself, jumping out of the way. A car is falling on top of her. Once again, falling to great, getting Spider-Man back up. Like, MJ, girl, I feel so awful for you. Thank God that you reconciled with your boyfriend at the end, and this is the final movie, so we know that you lived happily ever after from here on out. And Poochie went back to the moon and never came home again. So there
I
we
have to go now. My home planet needs me.
He's out of there. All right, let's talk a little bit about our secret layers and costuming here, Mike. So big sell on this was Spider-Man's rocking the black spider suit.
Yep.
Kind of love it. I think it looks super cool.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm going to give it 8 out of 10. Like, it's just his spider suit, but black now. So it's not like they reinvented the wheel and it's a totally different thing. But I just think it looks cool. It's a little hard because it's like the lighting isn't great, right? There was one scene that was cut of him swinging around in the black suit during the day. I would have liked to have seen that to see kind of how the black contrasts versus his normally very vibrant outfit. But yeah, I like the black suit, man.
I don't understand the black suit because the black suit is the Venom symbiote, right? It's this alien life form that is attached to him, and it kind of bends to his will a little bit, according to the animated series and the comics that I've read, where he can be like, oh, it forms to me, but I want it to form to create a spider symbol on my chest. I'm going to think about it creating like a black leather, duster and like black shirt and black pants beneath me. So it literally forms to his will, but he keeps it in a trunk in his closet when he's not using it. And while it's in there, it's also the black suit. So like, wouldn't it be shifting and being like a black goo in the chest? And also he's keeping it in a chest, but he's also affected by it. He's also being an emo jerk to his friends and family. I don't get, like, why is he affected by it if he keeps it in a chest,
Mike, there's so many questions in this movie, like so many. We're going to get to them very shortly here.
I'm jumping the gun a little bit, yeah.
All I'm trying to say is that I think the black suit looks cool. Like,
okay,
that's it. Okay.
It does look cool, but it's like like you said, it's literally exactly the same as the first costume we saw in the first two movies, but it's just a different color.
Yeah, it's cool. The other villain outfit I really enjoyed in this is the Sandman. Sandman has one sense of style. It is a green on green striped shirt.
No, it's green on black.
No, it's dark green and lime green. Or
it
maybe
is?
not quite lime. Yeah, it's green on green. At least here in the movie, it's definitely. And I think that's true in the comics too. Because green and black, you would notice it's just dark green and green. But in any case, this is the same thing that the character has worn in the comics forever. Thomas Hayden Church looks like him.
He does.
And it's awesome. It's great. It's just like, you wanted the Sandman? That's the Sandman. There you go. So I'm going to go 10 out of 10 for him. Loved it.
That's totally my vote for best costume for the movie, for sure. Yeah, he looks amazing.
Because it's not New Goblin. Don't understand that at all. Horrible look.
I'm surprised because you liked the snowboard Goblin glider, and the rest of his suit is kind of snowboardy. Like, he's got the snowboard mask on.
That is true. He's like an X Games athlete, evil X Games athlete. Look, man, this bothered me a lot at the time, and it bothers me less in hindsight. It could have been disastrous, given what the Green Goblin looked like in the first movie, which was disastrous. His name is New Goblin, but there's nothing really goblin-like about him. He's like a snowboarder, to your point. His outfit doesn't even have any like evil imagery or scary imagery to it. It's just kind of lame.
But they had it because there's the shot of when he goes into the back room where all the goblin tech is, when the camera pans by his dad's mask And then it keeps going, and there's like the shiny new version of the mask. It's like chrome plated. That's it. You could
Yeah.
have just had that instead of the lame snowboarder mask on.
Yeah.
They had the opportunity to make him like be more goblin-esque, but they chose not to do it. Especially with him like hearing his dad being in the mirror and everything. That
Yeah.
they had the opportunity to have him take up the goblin mantle, and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Lame.
Lame. All right. This one, Mike, really bothers me, this next category. Evil schemes. So dumb. All the way around. Everything here is dumb. Okay. First of all, let's talk about Harry some more. What's his evil scheme? Okay. You know that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. You are mad at him for killing your dad. Setting aside the fact your dad was a total asshole to you, totally treated you like crap. Peter Parker was your best friend. Can you just have a sit down with him and be like, bro, what happened? I know you wouldn't do this unless you had to. I'm not mad at you. I just want to hear your side of it. What happened that night? Let's talk about it. My dad was a difficult personality. He was a total jerk to me. I want to hear what you have to say. No, immediately. I need vengeance for my dad that was mean to me. What? Second of all, you know his secret identity. You could be like, hey, J. Jonah Jameson, you want a scoop? Guess what? Spider-Man's Peter Parker. That sets up the whole plot of a different Spider-Man movie. It's an incredible cliffhanger that everyone liked. This would be legitimately like harrowing. Like, oh my God, everyone knows that Peter Parker's Spider-Man. Could have gone down that route. There's so many different things he could have done. Instead, he's just like, I'm just going to kill him, get my revenge, get amnesia. Mike.
Soap opera.
Literally, it's a cliche when it happens in soap operas. And this is a huge plot point in your $200 million Spider-Man movie. Inexcusable. Magically gets his memory back. What am I doing this time? Same exact plan as before. Gotta kill Spider-Man. What are we doing? That actually leads me to a different point. I'm sorry. I got a monologue here. This is really making me mad. So he gets his memories back. He's like, oh, back on my vengeance tip. What should I do? Force Mary Jane to break up with Spider-Man over the threat of death? And then be like, I was the one that boned your girlfriend. Guess what? This is your evil scheme, Harry. What are we doing? Horrible evil scheme. One of the worst we've seen.
It's pretty bad. Yeah, I can't disagree with you there.
That's so dumb. Now, Sandman, okay? Meet him. He's got a daughter that's sick. He's just trying to get some medicine for her. Massively sympathetic character, right? Except that we never see his daughter again after that first scene. Never makes contact with her, never explains, I'm going to steal this money and put it in a bank account and your mom will have access to it. You know what I mean? There's no actual scheme beyond like, I would like to do this for you. It's totally empty. It makes his character ring fully empty as far as us trying to get sympathy. It's like a cheat code that just doesn't ever pay off. And then lastly, we got Venom. Now, this is actually the only one that generally makes dramatic sense to me, but it's just a simple, I hate you because you were mean to me. I want you to die. He's praying to God that Peter Parker dies. I don't know what that was about. Am I supposed to laugh at that? Am I supposed to think he's pathetic? I mean, you were going to a church to pray on someone's death, Mike? What?
But his whole problem is like, oh, he humiliated me in front of the Daily Bugle. No, dude, you literally humiliated yourself because you forged your photos and did not expect anybody to come up with like evidence to the contrary. Like, that's on you, man. If you're coming into journalistic, institution,
Yes.
yeah, and you're trying to present false evidence, that is literally your own fault.
I have worked as a writer for over 20 years, dude. If someone gets caught plagiarizing or fabricating, no one's like, how dare you call me out on that publicly? You violated the most sacred oath. The Daily Bugle, as clearly established, has extremely low standards for journalism. Extremely low standards. They make stuff up all the time. The one thing you can't do is actually take another photograph and then try to Photoshop it or whatever, pass it off as yours, which I still don't
Right.
really understand what he did exactly, where that other photo came from. I was like, what? I don't know. Okay, sure.
I don't know. He copied and pasted basically.
Genuinely some of the worst evil schemes in any superhero film I can think of. All three, just terrible, terrible stuff. We kind of just touched on the secret identity part, but I just, again, you got him. Harry, you got him. You know the secret identity. There's four people, I guess, with Aunt May, know that he's Spider-Man. You don't do anything to leverage that as part of your vengeance. It's so dumb. So dumb. Really quick one on the total destruction. I didn't even catch that cop, but I do think you're right. At a minimum, this man is paralyzed. He's probably dead, so we can count that one. Other than that, all I got was Eddie Brock and Venom.
Oh, there's one more.
Okay.
During the crane scene, I said that the cop was the first one, and I misspoke. During the crane scene where Gwen Stacy is falling to her death, we see the debris falling from the building. It totally takes out some random woman on the street. The
It really
debris
does. You see it?
Yeah. The debris falls and like hits this woman, and she like screams and falls like off the frame. She's totally dead in that.
100%.
It's like, yeah, you got debris falling from like 30 plus stories up and like landing on you, you're dead. That's it.
Oh, yeah. It's funny you say that because my thought process was if anyone died in that event, they wouldn't have Spider-Man Day because it would just be like, oh my God, it was a horrible plane accident day that killed that one lady, and left 26 injured.
And here's the guy who protects our city.
Literally, like, after Spider-Man swings away to go fight Sandman, they were like, and to conclude our rally, we want to dedicate this to the memory of the woman who was crushed on the street.
Poor Diane.
Never forget. But how about that Spider-Man? He still saved Gwen. She gave a great speech. Like, Jesus, man, that is really dark. I trust you.
So I got 4.
Okay. Yikes. All right, buddy. Good guy and bad guy time. This is tough. I had one good guy, and the good guy's name is Ursula Ditkovich.
What?
That is Peter Parker's neighbor, the girl who is flirting with him, who's bringing him cookies. She's so sweet, Mike. I love her so much. I don't know the actress's name, but if she wants to be in touch, we should totally try to talk to her. She steals every scene she's in. She's so sweet. She's the nicest little neighbor. Magina Tova is her name, apparently. But yeah, her character's name is, I don't think they ever really say her name aloud even, but it's Ursula Ditkovich. Now, again, if that Ditkovich rings a bell to Spider-Man fans, her last name is named after Steve Ditko, the co-creator of Spider-Man.
Oh, okay.
But she's so sweet in this movie, and I was like, who's the good guy? Everything is rough in terms of no one is better in this movie than they were in the last one, except for her. That's my good guy. Who do you got?
I'm going Bruce Campbell. Like I said, every line that he delivers is hilarious in that 10-minute sequence that he's in. There's nobody else. Like, Aunt May is barely in this movie. Like, she's great in everything that she's been in, but
barely. Barely.
She has nothing to do in this movie. Bruce Campbell has more to do than she does. Yeah. And he's hilarious, and every line he says is funny. And so I'm going Bruce Campbell as the French maitre d' of the restaurant.
I think we can agree on our bad guy. It's got to be Topher, right? It's got to be. I mean, I don't know. To me, that's the nadir of the film, right? It's his character, his performance.
Part of it is not his fault because they didn't like modulate his voice in any way when he's in the Venom suit. So it's like it's like him talking to Sandman, being like, we gotta kill the spider, but there's no like bass to his voice or anything. He just sounds super nerdy and wimpy. What'd you do? You gotta take that voice and make it cool, and they did not do it at all.
Yeah, it's so bad. I'm glad you brought that up because it sticks out so blatantly when he starts talking. To your point, you need more effects on that. And as a character design, I kept being like, what is it that bothers me so much about Venom? Why does he look so kind of like an alien, but like not in the alien way he does in the comics? Like, he just looks weird. I realized they didn't give him the tongue.
Yeah.
Venom is all about the tongue, dude. You got to have your mouth open. He's got the teeth, but it's the tongue. It's not the teeth, it's the tongue.
But they gave Topher fake teeth, which is the wrong move because you need to have the symbiote having teeth over his face. Like you need the
Exactly.
giant fangs, and they gave fangs to Topher instead. And that's
So
not
dumb.
that's not the move. Yeah.
Oh, God. Venom is just. Oh, it's rough, bro. And now it's time for everyone's favorite category. I've got questions.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. And I want to have them answered immediately.
Questions. Questions that need answering.
It just raises too many questions.
Too many questions. There's too many questions. There's just too many. I'll ask the questions.
Like, this document could be like 20 pages long. I'm serious. We've already hit on a few of them that I had listed in terms of the stupid revenge plot from Harry and things like that. But I don't know. Kick us off, because I've got so many.
I got some good ones. What exactly were they testing in that particle tester that Sandman fell into? Because he falls in. Okay, take him out of the equation. Nobody falls into this like fucking pit. Are they just like testing the effects of particles on sand? Is that what they're doing?
Oh, man, that is such a good question. That is such a good question. I didn't have that one, but you could not be more right. What is this for? What are your experiments?
Why?
Here?
What does this mean?
Why? While we're on the subject of Sandman, we kind of alluded to it earlier. Is he just basically immortal? Is he just kind of an immortal that, like, you can literally cheese grater his face against a train and it's like, I'm fine. And I thought, okay, the mud thing, right? You separate the sand via
That
water.
should hurt him, yeah.
That not hurt him. He's just been disintegrated, right? Like, those particles don't disappear, but they get scattered so far apart, right? He's dead. Nope. I think he's immortal, right?
Unless he just ages naturally to death. I don't know.
Maybe
the sand age? Does he last for like 6,000 years? I don't know. But on Sandman, to that note, he's robbing the Brink truck and he forms into a giant sand version of himself. And the cops shoot him with a gun. He's like crying out in pain. He's like,
he feels pain. Clearly.
Yeah.
Yep. But bullets don't do anything. They don't stop him. They don't wound him.
What, they hurt him?
What's going on?
He's crying out in pain. I didn't understand that.
Had no idea. Let's talk a little bit about emo Spider-Man here.
Okay.
Is the symbiote responsible for his haircut and hairstyle as well? Is it like little particles that are just hanging out? Because like he actually has black hair. It's a direct cut. He's in his emo.
Yes.
He's like, some things are happening. His hair is black and emo. He puts it in the trunk and it's brown again immediately. It's 1-2 cuts. Like, you see this. So this is an intentional choice.
I noticed that too. Yeah.
Right? The symbiote is his hair.
It's definitely affecting his hair. Yes.
Okay.
It's part of the costume. All right. My next one. They have Spider-Man Day. Everybody's ready to deliver him the key to the city. Have they been in direct contact with Spider-Man? How do they actually know that he is going to show up to this event? And not only that, Gwen Stacy seemed super sure and super confident about her intro. She's like, ladies and gentlemen, Spider-Man. How did she know that he would arrive in that exact moment?
Really good question. I guess someone from the city's office had gotten in contact with Peter Parker and was like, I know you take pictures of him, so let him know if he wants to show up. He's going to get announced on stage.
That actually makes sense.
Literally would require planning. Exactly. So my last Goblin thing, is there like a training facility where they learn to use their gliders? Because both of them, like, as soon as they turn, they can fly on gliders. I think Harry's would be even more difficult to master just based on the physics of like a snowboard size versus the actual aerial design of the other one. And there were people using it in the lab before, but are you all of a sudden super good at snowboarding and action sports when you get the goblin powers?
We do see in the first movie They're testing the glider on like a
Yeah, in the lab environment.
no outside.
Well, yeah, and then they go
yeah.
they go to the facility. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess there is a facility for them to train then.
It's like a missile testing kind of facility where there's guys like underground in a bunker with a blast shield.
Right. I guess he goes out there and does this training. But this leads me to my next question, which is Oscorp. You were in the military, military weaponry, right? You lose your contract and your fucking founder and CEO literally terrorizes the city and loses his mind. Okay, no big deal. My son's going to pick up the pieces. Gets Dr. Otto Octavius to make the thing. Also almost burns down the whole city, right? How is he not like bankrupted from like all these lawsuits, completely kicked out of the mansion? He's like, oh, I'm rich. When he wakes up, he's like, oh, look at me. I can't believe I'm rich. You're not rich anymore, dude. So many lawsuits have decimated Oscorp. It is no longer, it's Enron, bro. It's toxic company at this point.
I don't know what world you live in, but rich people don't suffer from consequences. It's where I live. So
great point, actually. I take it all back. It makes perfect sense, honestly. Now that I think of it, you're totally right.
All right, my next question. Peter gets a phone call from the police that's like, hey, we've actually figured out that Uncle Ben, the guy who killed Uncle Ben, is not who we thought, and it's a different person. He takes that phone call from a payphone. How do they know to contact Peter on a payphone?
I guess that's just his number. Like when you look Peter Parker up, it's just that number, but it's a payphone in the hallway of the apartment building he lives in.
I guess if it's in the apartment, like he can give that particular number, and I guess like, hey, call me back at this number, and like maybe Ursula will pick up and tell me that I have a phone call. But
exactly.
That's a very shoddy like way to contact someone.
Totally fair. Why does J. Jonah Jameson's entire desk shake when Betty Brant buzzes him? Like, what did they hook up to his desk that makes the entire surface of this huge desk shake when she sends him a buzz? Don't understand it.
All right, my last one. During the final confrontation with Sandman at the construction site, we see the New York City reporter commenting on the footage. Why does New York City have a British reporter? She's like, oh no, Sandman is here. Like,
completely, I'll raise you on that. He's pounding Spider-Man to death. Literally pounding him to death.
Oh, it looks like it's hopeless.
So you're just going to cut in live on the news to a man getting beaten to death and just be like, keep your camera on the hero getting beaten to death so that everyone can watch it live. Amazing job, New York journalism. Just amazing.
Oh no, Spider-Man's being beaten to death live on television.
Unbelievable. All right, my last one. Harry and Peter have their big fight. To your point, it just ends. And it hard cuts to Peter Parker walking down the street with this emo cut. All the chicks are checking him out. All of them. They're checking him out.
Yeah.
Look at him. They want him. 2 scenes later, he's doing this finger guns and they are horrified. So which is it? Are the ladies turned on by his emo-ness, or are they horrified by his goofiness? Like, you got to pick a lane here. It's got to be one or the other. I can't believe, like, it literally feels like an incontinuity or something, right? But no, it's very clear. These women are checking him out in one scene, and in the very next scene, they all hate him. So dumb.
Totally agreed. Yeah, I don't know why I'd flip the coin within 5 minutes.
Well, we'll try to make sense of this movie in our next category. What is it really all about? And Mike, let me tell you, if Spider-Man 2 was a lesson in balance, Spider-Man 3 confronts the toxic danger of ego, using its plot to underscore important lessons about humility, forgiveness, and self-acceptance. Peter Parker begins the movie drunk on his own success, letting the adulation of New York feed his blind arrogance that alienates Mary Jane. When the symbiote bonds with him, it doesn't alter his character, it simply unleashes the hubris that was there all along. Peter's journey back to heroism requires a brutal dose of humility. He has to admit he's trapped in his own pride, leading to the critical moment where he rips the suit away in the bell tower, confronting the truth of the toxicity that was always inside of him. The finale proves that true self-acceptance is impossible without the grace to forgive both your enemies and yourself, a theme that plays out between three intertwined characters. Harry breaks his own traumatic cycle of vengeance, forgiving Peter and choosing the sacrificial path of absolute selflessness, sacrificing his own life to save his friends. Flint Marko, meanwhile, reveals the heart-wrenching truth behind Uncle Ben's death, confessing he's not a monster, he's just a desperate father caught in a tragic accident. When Peter looks at him and utters the words, "I forgive you," the crushing gravity of decade-long resentment is finally lifted, and he can float away in peace. And then you have Eddie Brock, who serves as the ultimate tragic foil. Unwilling to embrace humility or let go of his spite, he chooses to consume himself with vengeance, quite literally. He ties his individual identity to the monster and dies trapped in the spiderweb of his own resentment. In the end, the film proves that no mask can hide a dirty conscience, and that we only become fully realized as people when we stop fighting our past and start forgiving it. As Peter says at the end of the movie, it's the choices that make us who we are, and we can always choose to do what's right. Humility, forgiveness, and self-acceptance, Mike. That's the theme of Spider-Man 3. And now it's time for the moment you've all been waiting for. It's time to render our final verdict. Here on Superhero Cinema Club, we rate on a scale of classic, great, good, okay, bad, and terrible. I think people can guess the general direction we're going, but are we going to go all the way, Mike? Why don't you start us off?
All right, so we have talked extensively about the difference between terrible and bad. And the difference is that with a bad movie, you can sit down with your friends, you can have some shots of alcohol, and you can make fun of this thing. Terrible, you can't even do that. It's so boring, or it's so bland, or it's so bad that you can't make an event out of it. I feel like this movie, you could do that. There's a lot of the dancing and the emo and a lot of things that are just like I said, really embarrassing. You could potentially turn this into a fun, watch party kind of event. And so I think that this does escalate a little bit more from terrible to bad. And so I'm going to give it bad. It's not a great movie. It's not fun to watch by yourself. I had a long stretch of like 45 minutes where I was really bored because I was watching it by myself, but I couldn't help but feel that this movie would have been a lot more entertaining if I was watching it with more people and we were having some drinks and we were making fun of it. So my ultimate verdict is bad.
So for me, it kind of comes back to the question that you were alluding to earlier about Nuclear Man. Is Venom worse than Nuclear Man? And the question then becomes like, is this one of the worst superhero films ever? Is it on par with like Superman 4 that we covered, The New Mutants, just really, really dreadful films? And honestly, it's not. There is too much talent involved for it to succumb to that tier. But Mike, based on the incredibly high bar of the two films that preceded it, its fall is precipitous. There is almost nothing in this movie that improves on what came before of it, and the parts that are worse are a lot worse. Given that we know the ceiling of the ideal Superman movie from the talent involved, it is really depressing. Mike, I hate this movie. I think it's terrible. I'm going bottom rung. I think this is a terrible movie. It really bums me out. Like, watching this movie really bummed me out. Just because you know how good it can be, because it gets graded on the curve, right? It's like when you had a star student that just turns in a crap paper. There's a bunch of kids in the class and they have bad papers, and they always have bad papers. That's just kind of how it is for some kids. But the kid that was getting acing your tests just writes the worst essay. It hits different. It's like, this is terrible. I'm sorry. It's a terrible movie. We'll finish it up as we always do with some film and comic book recommendations. I'll go ahead and kick us off with our comic recommendations. I am going to shout out Venom, not surprisingly, given his role in this film. The Venom series that was written by Donny Cates with art by Ryan Stegman. This was the run from 2018 to 2021. I haven't actually read like a ton of these. I just kind of picked them up and was reading a few of them last night. But this is where we get the introduction of Null and kind of the origins of the symbiote. and kind of spreads throughout the galaxy and the universe. It's actually really cool that they finally went back and revisited this stuff, and the art looks really great. It opened up a whole bunch of different Venom possibilities, and I think that character has actually become like a much bigger part in all of Marvel than I honestly have realized. I really haven't kept up too much on him, but yeah, sitting down and reading a couple issues of this Venom series, I was like, okay, this is a fun read. I'm going to stick with this. So that's my comic recommendation, Venom by Donny Cates. What do you got?
So my comic recommendation is going to be, since this movie focuses on Spider-Man and the black suit and the Venom symbiote, I'm going to go with the Black Costume Saga from the 90s, written by Tom DeFalco and Roger Stern. Mark, this was the very first comic for me that I was like, as a child, I want this, and I'm going to earn my allowance money to buy this, and it cost me $80 of my own hard-earned money, and it cost me it basically 3 months worth of saving up
Wow.
allowance money to buy it. And there's a very great shot.
So this is the omnibus then?
It's not the omnibus. The omnibus is like 1,000 pages. This is like probably like 400 pages, but it goes into the whole after the Secret Wars where Spider-Man
Yeah.
gets the black suit from there, and he comes back to New York and he's got the black suit, and Craven comes in and he's like, it goes into the whole thing I was talking about with like his costume where he's like, oh, I can shape it to be like a black duster and all that. The Spider-Man black suit complete saga, it's called the complete black suit saga from 1993. The image on the front is the same image of Spider-Man #1 where he's like holding people under both of his arms, but they revamped it to be the black suit Spider-Man holding two people under his arms. That for me was a very formative comic in my early years that again was like I wanted that. I wanted to save up for that. And it actually ends in the wedding of Peter Parker and Mary Jane. Him with the black suit falls off of him in the bell tower, and then he ends up marrying Mary Jane at the very end of it. And it's a great saga for the early 90s Spider-Man, and is very formulative to what we see in this movie here. So that's my recommendation.
Yeah, you alluded to it, but it's worth mentioning, and I will give him credit for this. This is the direct origin story of Venom, according to the comics lore. Spider-Man bonds with the black suit and discovers it's kind of taken over him. So he ends up in the church in the bell tower, and the bell he realizes the sonic waves will get it off of him. Eddie Brock happens to be there, and it falls down from the rafters and he becomes Venom. So it is kind of cool that they worked in the actual origin story of the character into the movie, which you don't see very often.
In the comic, it's Mr. Fantastic who kind of helps him figure it out too. He's like, "Oh, we're doing analysis in the Baxter Building," and he's like, "Oh, I think there might be some kind of like sonic frequency that would like affect this thing." And then when the church tower thing happens, he realizes like, "Oh, this is my chance to get away from this thing." It's really iconic in the moment. It's a great addition to Spider-Man's lore.
For my film recommendation, we've been a little harsh on some of the creators in this movie, and I don't want to be harsh on Sam Raimi because I think he's like one of the best directors. I love him so much. He's just just an awesome director and filmmaker. And so I'm going to actually just go ahead and say it. I think we might have been dancing around it all season to an extent. It's Evil Dead 2. If you haven't seen Evil Dead 2, this is his masterpiece. It is like a comedy horror. Bruce Campbell is unbelievable in this film. He will make you laugh out loud. You will cringe in horror. It's funny. It's gross. It's over the top. Just a really incredible, one of a kind movie. And I'm so glad it exists. It really is like, it actually might be my favorite horror movie of all time. If I really was to think about it, I'm not the biggest horror guy. So I don't have a ton of like, I love this horror movie. I love that. Like, but Evil Dead 2 is one of those movies you see when you're like 16 years old. Your friend tells you about it. Oh my God. At least for us and back in the 90s, it was like, you got to see this movie. It's wild. It's insane, over the top. It was rated X when it came out. Where like it, because it's so much blood, but it's not like scary and really like sick. It's just funny and dark and totally slapstick comedy mixed with horror. It is so awesome. Widow's Bay is having its moment. I'm one of those people. I love it. This was like the case in point of like humor and horror can actually go together incredibly well. And Evil Dead 2 is the one. So not exactly a deep cut here, but I gotta shout out Evil Dead 2.
It's so great, and it's actually a remake of Evil Dead 1, also by Sam Raimi. Like, he basically took the same movie and was like, how can we do this better? It's so much fun. If you have the chance to go see it, like, in person, they do plays. They do a play version of this on, like, off Broadway, you know, or even on Broadway. I think it was on Broadway for a while too. It's like a Gwar concert where you go, and if you're in the front rows, be prepared to wear a poncho because the blood is going to squirt like the entire first, 5 rows of people up front.
That's
It's
incredible.
amazing.
I had no
yeah.
idea.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Wow.
It's definitely beloved, and it's a great addition to. It is probably Sam Raimi's best movie, I would say, overall. Like, it's a complete masterpiece of horror comedy.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go a little bit of a different direction, and I went with the Topher Grace connection. I went with what I think is the best movie that he has been a part of, which is Traffic from the year 2000. Steven Soderbergh's absolutely masterful, dramatic movie about drug trafficking. We've got Benicio del Toro. We've got Michael Douglas. We got Catherine Zeta-Jones. We've got Topher Grace in a very like kind of mild role. He's very backseat in this movie, but I think it is the best thing that he's been a part of. And he plays the kind of douchebag boyfriend very well in this movie, I think. It's one of those movies where it's like you see multiple perspectives of all these different stories and how they kind of all affect each other in a way. And it's really good, man. Like, this movie is like kind of underrated. I feel like, even though it won 4 Oscars like 26 years ago, it's something that hasn't been talked about in a long time. Benicio del Toro did win Best Actor for this, and Steven Soderbergh did win Best Director for this. So if you haven't seen 2000 Traffic from Steven Soderbergh, highly recommend watching this movie. It's incredible.
Dude, that is such a good recommendation. I love Traffic. It's probably my favorite Soderbergh movie, honestly. I think it's definitely the one I've seen the most. I don't know why, but I was like fairly obsessed with this movie in college. And I think it's because I do like episodic films and like big ensemble cast films, and that's definitely this, but it shows the complexities of the drug war from every possible angle and how everyone is trying to do something, and as a result, no one can do anything. And it's tragic and deep and well acted, funny at times. You didn't mention Don Cheadle.
I know, yeah.
He's so good in this. And what's his name? Luis Guzman is his partner in the movie.
Yeah.
Their relationship is hilarious and sad. And Michael Douglas's daughter, who is Topher Grace's girlfriend in the movie, her whole story arc is really sad.
Yeah.
Dude, it is such a good movie at tackling such an impossibly complex issue. Really one of the defining public policy problems of our lifetime. I could not recommend this movie enough. That is such a good suggestion. And with that, we have reached the end of another episode of Superhero Cinema Club. Went a little long on this one, but man, sometimes you just got to get out your feelings. And I've been waiting so long to just air out the terrible movie that Spider-Man 3 is. I'm sorry, man. I really don't love being harsh, and you generally are the one that's maybe a little harsher than I am at times.
I was a little softer this time, yeah.
Yeah, so disappointing. I think there's no doubt our last season was on X-Men. X3 had a very similar problem. A lot of Part 3s have this problem. I think this is way worse than X3. Like, X3, to me, I rated it just okay. You know, I don't love it, but like, there's enough parts that I thought were all right and decent ideas and a couple cool scenes. I think we're like opposites, because you rated that one terrible and I rated it okay. You're going with just bad on this one. I'm going terrible.
I don't ever want to watch that movie again. This one I would watch again in the right environment with more people like drinking and making fun of it.
Shout out to my girlfriend, Sarah. She'd never seen this. So I did watch it with her and her mom last night and put it on. They were bored to tears. There was nothing. There was nothing coming.
It is very boring
Literally.
for a long time.
And she is not into superhero films, and she loves the first 2 Spider-Man movies. She will be listening to this podcast for the first time when this season comes around because she actually likes those movies. And she was bored to death. She was not into it. This is a terrible movie. I'm sorry to say it.
What up, Sarah? Shut up.
Well, the Spider-Man series can only go up from here, right?
I guess so.
We'll find out with the premature reboot, The Amazing Spider-Man, starring Andrew Garfield and my girl, Emma Stone. The Amazing Spider-Man, next week on Superhero Cinema Club.
Superhero Cinema Club is hosted by Mark Schiff and me, Mike Carnes. Produced by Mark Schiff. Editing by Mike Carnes. Original music provided by Chris Carnes. Find him on Spotify. Be sure to follow us on social media. You can find us at Superhero Cinema Club, and don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a review. Join us next time as we dive into another epic adventure from the world of superhero cinema.